Hello, this is Sharon Webb, Travel Tracker Implementation Specialist. The Travel Tracker makes tracking payments for field, athletic, and staff trips easy and efficient. As a school finance secretary or bookkeeper, you may be responsible for sending in payments for trips as the trips are completed and invoices generated, depending on how your organization processes invoices. There are two ways to mark invoice items as payments sent. We will look at both ways. When the person who is responsible for payments signs on, they will default to the School Finance tab. Under the School Finance tab, you see these options on the left. In order to work with your invoices, you're going to want to be in the Pending Payment option. How you use this screen will depend on how your district handles invoices from the Travel Tracker. If you will be sending in a check, you can mark all or some of the invoices in the list as sent as you send in a check. Some districts have the bookkeepers mark the items as sent to indicate their approval or acknowledgement that the funds are going to be transferred during a budget transfer. You should check with your finance department if you have questions about the process that you should use. Now let's take a look at just a way to quickly get started paying for your invoices. In your pending payment option here, you see a button that says Tips for Paying Invoices. This is going to be available to you to help you to remember anytime you come into your to your school finance tab of how do I manage these invoices. There are 6 steps. Click on the Sent checkbox for each item that you are paying. After marking the items, click on the Compute button to get the total marked as sent. This should be your check amount. Enter your check number in the box at the top. Click on Confirm. Then change the invoice status to Payment Sent. Choose today's date from the Date Sent drop-down, and then click the Print button to print a document of the items that were paid with this check. So that's the 6 basic steps. Let's take a look at those steps together. Now I am the bookkeeper. I have received a notification email that I have outstanding invoices to pay, and I am going to now come into the Travel Tracker, log in, go to my School Finance tab, Pending Payment, and I'm able to see a list of trips that have been approved for payment, ready for me to pay for them. Now notice that you have several ways of sorting your trips, whatever you think makes sense and best works with your process and your routine. Notice that you do have a Compute button here. This first one is to get a total cost of the assignments using the criteria above. So if you wanted to see how much do you owe totally for all of these, you could simply click your Compute button, and that would bring you up a total of all the assignments that you have in your list. Now, if you're just going to be paying for some trips, not all of them in your list, you can indicate which trips you want to pay for by scrolling through the list and clicking the box that says Sent in the far right column. So we're going to come through and you can look at the information here. There's some summary information. It may look different in your district. This is my demo site, but you can come through, look at the information. You can see driver information. You can see odometer readings, round trip miles, funding information if there is any, account codes perhaps. It just depends on, again, how your district is set up. But if this is a trip that you want to pay for, you would simply come and click in the box beside the word Sent, and notice the words Pending Change come up. So we're going to continue this process here. We're going to review, and if we want to pay for this one with a check, if we're going to do a budget transfer, we're just simply going to read through these and determine if this is a trip we want to pay for. If we're not going to pay for it, we might skip over it and then continue to check the boxes of the trips that we want to pay for. Now, once you have checked all of the boxes that you and all of the line items on the invoice that you're paying for, you can scroll up and click the Compute button that says Total Checked Sent below to determine how much you should write your check for. So this is our check amount, and then we would simply just come and key in the check number. If you're doing a budget transfer, or if you're doing some sort of a journal entry, or if you have some other unique identifier that you want to type in this box, you can type anything in there that you would like, or you don't have to put anything in there. Again, it depends on what your finance office would like for you to do. Once you have written your check, perhaps put in some sort of a unique identifier onto this particular transaction, you're going to come and click the button that says Confirm Changes and OK when the system prompts you to say OK. Now the system is going to change the status of those that you marked as sent. The new status is called payment sent. They're no longer in your view because you're only looking at the approved for payment. Now if you would need to print a document that contains the list of those trips that you just marked as payment sent, maybe for you to attach your check to, you can come up to the status drop down here. Choose the status of payment sent. This is going to bring up a list of all the invoices, all the lines that you have marked payment sent on. So you want to narrow it down to just the ones you did today. And so you're going to use this date sent, DTSNT stands for date sent, drop down, use your scroll bar, pull it all the way to the bottom, and this will be today's date. You can click on that date, and then it's only going to bring up the ones that we just did today. You can see over here on the right the little orange envelope and the date, today's date. This is going to be your visual cue that these are the ones that you marked payment sent. If you put a check number in there, the check number will be there. If you wrote budget transfer or something else, that information will be there as well. In order to print this, you would simply come up to your print button here and click on the print button. It's going to open up a new tab for you to print this document out. Simply close that tab after you've printed and you're back to your travel tracker. Now that's one way to mark your invoices as sent. We said there were two ways to do it. The way we just did is following this tips for paying invoices, the 6 steps here. Now that would be sort of the quick way. Now there is a little more detailed way that you are certainly welcome to use, and that would be to open the invoice itself. So let's go back to our status of approved for payment, and let's change our date sent back to all so we can see all of our invoices again that have been approved for payment. Now if you would like to, instead of marking the date sent checkbox in this table here, you can actually open the invoice, and the way you open the invoice is to come all the way over to the trip number on the left here and click on the trip number itself. That's a hyperlink that will open up the actual invoice for you, and so you can see this is the invoice. The top section is just the details of the trip. If we scroll down, we see funding information, perhaps if it's there. We see the costing information next. The first section is the driver cost, and if there is any cost associated with the driver's time, you'll see that information here. If you pay benefits, you'll see that information, and then over on the right you'll see the driver cost. If you continue to scroll, if there's an assistant, you may see assistant cost information. The next section is the mileage cost information, and you may see the beginning and ending odometer readings have been entered, and perhaps the total miles, and then a total cost per mile for a total mileage cost. That information could be there. There may be other costing information. Again, it depends on your district. There may be fuel cost, additional invoice cost. There could be a return condition rate. There may be other additional invoice costs, something like meal stipends, or it just could be anything. And then you'll see a total cost here. So if this is a trip that you're going to pay for, you can continue to scroll down to the payment information. And notice here we do have the payment sent box that you can click on payment sent. It's going to add your electronic signature and the date and time to the invoice. You can put in a check number here if that's something that you would like to do, or a journal entry number or anything like that. And then you would simply just save and close this particular invoice. It's going to ask you, are you sure? You'll say yes. And now the status of this invoice has been changed from approved for payment to payment sent. Now you could continue to, of course, print your document if you would like to in the way that we've looked at. You can print the invoice itself. In the upper left corner of the invoice, there's a print button that you can use if you needed to just print the actual invoice. So that's the two ways to mark your invoices as payment sent, and depending on, again, how your district would like for you to do business, check with your finance department and see what they would like for you to do and handle your invoices. But hopefully this will get you started. Now, there is a much more detailed training video in the support and training link here in the upper right corner of your system. You can click on that and go to the training videos and find the bookkeeper training there. It's going to give you a lot more information about the different things that you can do, the different features that you have as a school bookkeeper in the travel tracker. Also, over on the far left, you do see at the bottom of your list a quick reference guide. If you would like to refer to that, there's step-by-step instructions and screenshots to how you can use the different features of the travel tracker. But hopefully this will get you started paying for those invoices. Thank you.